Of course, Reed is he's a NARIS representative in this state. He recruits membership for the Grammy organizations, and so he's going to talk to you about Grammy U. Please welcome Reed Wick.
Awesome. Great to be back in my home turf, as John said.
Yes, sir.
I spent 16 years here. I'm a graduate. And after Katrina, I had the opportunity to work with the Grammy organization, and it's really been a good experience for me and for a lot of people in Louisiana. We've really grown our membership here. The results have been a record number of Grammy nominations and Grammy winners over the last couple of years in all genres of music. So I'm really proud of some of the work that we've done, including some of the work post-Katrina with helping musicians move back to the Loyola by new instruments and all that kind of stuff.
Let me say one thing. Right after Katrina, it was Reed who was handing out the money to musicians. NARIS put up, Music Cares put up $1 million, more than that, and he was the one that was dispensing that money. So a lot of musicians were helped through the work of this guy right here. This is the man.
Just to follow up a little bit, we wound up raising nearly $4 million and helped 3,750 musicians from across the Gulf Coast. So it really was a labor of love for a couple of weeks. Couple of years. For a couple of years. And then basically I'd been complaining the whole time that we didn't have representation here in New Orleans for the music community on the Gulf Coast in the Grammy organization, because all of Louisiana is served by our Memphis chapter, which covers a 5-state region. So after 2 years of doing the Music Cares, which is one of our foundations, they said, okay, it's your job, go put your money where your mouth is. So in that time, or since that time, we launched a new initiative for college students called the Grammy University Network. We actually got it kind of going here a couple of years ago at Loyola and kind of dwindled a little bit, but we've really got a new push to really push it, to build it up. Arissa Banks, who works in John Snyder's office, is going to serve as Loyola. There she is up there. She's going to serve as our campus liaison, so she can answer any questions going forward, but I just wanted to invite you guys to take advantage of this opportunity. We see Grammy U as an opportunity for students to integrate with the regular membership of the Recording Academy, which includes, producers, engineers, studio people, musicians, songwriters, people in all aspects of the music community in New Orleans. In fact, one of our leaders is going to be one of your speakers here this evening. Aaron Frankenheimer is one of our chapter leaders. Just to give you an idea of some of the kind of things that we do at Grammy U, some things are professional development oriented, some of them are just networking oriented. For instance, this coming Sunday night, for the first time in New Orleans, we're hosting a Grammy viewing party, which is an opportunity for all of our members from Louisiana and along the Gulf Coast to get together. We're all going to get together over at the Hard Rock Cafe and watch the Grammy Awards together. But we have people like Cosmo Matassi is going to come hang out with us, and a couple other, a number of our members. So as members of the Grammy University Network, you'd be invited to come to that event. Another example of more of a professional development type thing that we're doing is next month we're working with Delgado Community College, and we're putting on a hip-hop production and promotions panel on February 23rd. That's going to be open to Grammy University Network students from across the city, and for music students who have an interest in that. That panel will include Diesel, who just won 2 Grammys this past year. He co-wrote Lollipop with Lil Wayne, and he produced that record for Lil Wayne. Wild Wayne from Q93. Believe we have Ben Brubaker in D1, and Raj Smoove will be on that panel, so it'll be a good panel to meet locals who are doing production and promotions in the hip-hop world. Some other examples of the kind of things that we do with Grammy U are meet and greets with professionals that are in town. So, for instance, Kim Stevens, who's a VP in A&R, will be doing a session with us in March. Jonathan McHugh, who is the vice president of, he just got a new job. He's with Island Def Jam. He handles all film and TV music for Island Def Jam. He'll be here right before Jazz Fest, and we'll probably do a meet and greet with him. We also do these programs called Grammy Sound Checks, where artists will come to town, big touring artists will come to town, and we'll make arrangements with them to allow students to come backstage, meet the artists, check out their actual sound check. Sometimes they throw free tickets into the show. Recent ones have included everybody from like Anthony Hamilton, Journey, more than I can Yeah, Lindsey Buckingham from Fleetwood Mac was a while back. Just to let you know, I have requests in for several this coming semester, including Eric Clapton, John Mayer, and a few more that, as they get confirmed, I'll let our membership know about that. So I don't want to keep you much longer. To belong to Grammy, I got one more thing to tell you. We are getting ready to launch a members-only social networking website next month called Grammy 365. The idea behind it is that most people know us for the Grammy Awards, which is one day a year, but we are a 24/7, 365-day-a-year organization for our members. And as part of that social networking website, you have an opportunity to build a profile like on a MySpace or Facebook and integrate with professionals from all over the country that are members of the Recording Academy. There's also a job posting and a job listing site where you can post that you're looking for a job, or our members can post that they have a job opening, so hopefully that'll open up some ideas for internships and entry-level gigs and stuff like that. The big question is the cost. It costs $25 a year to be a member, or if you choose, we have a $50 until you graduate option. Along with that comes a whole host of benefits, everything from, we have like 6 different manufacturers that offer our members discounts on reproducing your CDs. We have discounts on instrument insurance. We just also have health insurance. We have discounts on all kind of junk, so you can easily make your money back and join with us with the Grammy University Network. If you choose to join today, I have some free T-shirts for people who would sign up today. If you do choose to join this week, we'd be able to invite you to our party this coming Sunday night over at the Hard Rock Cafe. If you have any questions, I'll stick around, or you can ask Arissa or Professor Snyder. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Very nice. So, this is networking. Reed represents that possibility for you. I mean, he's representing the professional organization for the music industry, and there's all kinds of opportunities to meet other people involved in that stuff. And that's how you connect with other people. You know how it works. So, did you get it? Cool. Here, take this. This is Mark Juno. Mark Juno has designed our website for the center. He's going to show it to you right quick. He's also going to offer tutorials in WordPress if you want to get into that and learn how to make those kinds of websites and blogs. And these 3 websites that we built in WordPress, this is just one of them, need some kind of attention. Several of you who've already signed up for that. But this is, can you get on there? Let's see if we can show you this website, because we don't want to spend any time on this. We're going to get to our guests. But this said, I showed you this the first day, but that was in development. Now the site went live today. This is the beta site. We spent a lot of time on this. There's probably several hundred hours of video content on there. A lot of these forums in the last 6 years, 5 years are on there, and concerts and all kinds of interviews and stuff that have happened on campus. So how about, who's got a wireless? You want to log in? Use your wireless. If you want to be involved in this WordPress business and learn how to do this, come see us afterwards. Mark will be here. Login successful. So this is basically, it's not scaling to this browser. I don't know what the one problem is, but okay, yeah, way bigger. So you see that film strip up across the top. That's a revolving pool of stuff. It changes every time you go into the site. It just refreshes, and you get 20 new random clips. Then we have featured stuff in the middle, and then we have other stuff that's posted, most recent stuff at the bottom. Lots of content types. If you were to scroll, can you move the scroll bar over so you can scroll to the, you can see all the content types at the bottom. Scroll it to the right. There you go. So there's the content types. You want to click on one? I don't know if we got stuff in all these things or not. But that's going to be content holders for these, all this content that flows from that. This is all stuff that's tagged to entrepreneurship. So this is all video content. So what we'd like for you to do is to kind of mess with this site and try to break it and tell us what's wrong with it and how we can make it better, right? We're going to add calendars up there so we can communicate in that manner. Well, you know. And, obviously you can translate the site into any language. Japanese, my favorite. But you see, it's an amazing thing. You know about how that works, right? Isn't that cool? So I love that. All right, Mark?
All right.
Is that it? All right, thank you so much. So break the site, tell us what's wrong with it, and let's see what you think of it. I want to introduce our special guest right quick. This is Aaron Frankenheimer and John Michael. A lot of you know John Michael. You've seen him perform, seen his band perform. So please welcome Aaron Frankenheimer and John Michael. Thank you so much. All right, man. So Aaron and John have been working together for a while, and we're going to talk today about how they go about conducting their business.
I have to say, like, this is pretty bizarre for me because
You used to be up there?
Yeah, I haven't. It hasn't even been a year since I've graduated, so this is kind of strange. So bear with me as I breathe heavily into this microphone. Sorry.
How long have you all been working together? Have you been managing?
In March it'll be 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
So how do you? What kind of? Did you start off with a particular goal in mind that you wanted to accomplish something specific by a certain day? You're just kind of flying and seeing where you're going.
We do go over now a lot of short-term and long-term goals, but when we started, John Michael was a solo artist, and he had just started on the 52.
Is it on your back?
Sorry, the 52 songs in a year. You know, a song a week a year, and.
How'd that work out? Because that was a big deal when y'all were doing it. It seemed kind of very hard to do, right?
Well, I think it worked out well. That was how I knew John Michael before from when he was in Ellipsis, and I had my radio show, and he approached me with the 52 project, and that was actually how we started working.
Yeah, Jesus.
Is this your first time with the microphone?
Yeah, I've never had one of these.
They'll just turn you down. It'll be all right.
If that's all right, yeah. What? Yeah. The idea is that Aaron and I had been friends for a really long time, and in order to start, the whole thing started with the 52 song thing, and she at the time had a radio show on B97 that was like on Sunday nights from 10 to 12 or something like that, and she was playing like the Animal Collective and like Fleet Foxes and stuff like that like no one in the city was playing other than TUL, let's say, and I was on B97. I was like, oh, she's like kind of breaking the mold, like how, you know, instead of me just making a record and then starting that way, it was like a different way of going about it. And so because we were friends, obviously, but just that sort of breaking the mold mentality and going about it in a different way sort of was what
you just got off the road, right? Didn't you just do a major tour this?
Well, I mean, we go in and out of touring, yeah, but last year we spent a lot of it on the road, yeah.
So how did you go about booking that tour? You had a whole East Coast thing, right?
Yeah. In Nashville.
Yeah, in Nashville. Played 3 songs. So the guys went up there and no pay and weren't really sure, you know, is this going to make a difference? And Jay saw them and took a lot of faith in them and booked us. He wasn't going to work with us right away because they don't work with unsigned artists, which we still aren't signed. But he took a leap of faith with us, got us to show the Mercury Lounge, and then we had to book.
How'd you get the Mercury Lounge gig?
Jay got the Mercury show for us, but credit to Eric Rogers who plays. And first off, the My Name Is thing is most definitely a band. Like, it's, you know, the worst name band of all time. But
how your band members feel about
it? They love it.
Jesus.
No, but Eric Rogers, our drummer, he really he put in a lot of sweat equity, and you know we all did, but he in particular booked a 2-week run that got us, you know, everything except for the Mercury Lounge show, which Jay got for us. And then that tour led us to CMJ, and then Spin was at our Bonnaroo show, and they picked us as one of the top 25 bands at CMJ. And then the Metro, which is like a free press thing in New York.
Boston, and New York. Picked them as the top 5 bands you should have seen, which was awesome.
Which was really great.
Credit again to BMI because it was BMI people that came out to the first show in New York that pushed for us to get on CMJ, you know, a month before the festival because we weren't asked to play until people actually saw them. And the live show was kind of unrivaled.
Oh yeah, that's when I. And so, what do you do with this momentum? Now you've got a certain momentum. You've been out and performing in front of people, right? You've got an agent. But you're still probably not making a whole ton of money, right?
No, we're definitely not out of the woods with regards to money, but I mean.
So what's your plan? How do you get from
Well,
here
I mean,
to there?
it's just the thing is now we're just hitting the road as much as we possibly can, and I mean the shows are getting better, with regards to pay and all those kind of things and all that, stuff, and more opportunities are coming our way, and I mean whether it's like possible placements in certain TV and film and stuff like that, these things are starting to open up, and it's just really like a thing of like awareness. I mean, it was weird like. To start out as just a kid in his little apartment with a little Pro Tools rig to turn it into a band and then going on the road, and it's pretty awesome. It's pretty great.
And I think the thing that we always try and keep in mind is that, just because things are good now doesn't mean they're going to stay that way, and if we slow down for a second, we're missing the boat completely. So we're kind of always in panic mode about what will be next. There's a lot of panic moments. This happened, now what?
Well, I can see why that would be the case. First of all, you don't want to let any opportunities go by.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But where do you see yourself in 6 months? Do you have a goal for 6 months? Like you want to be performing 100 nights a year or 200? I mean, do you have some specific?
The goal this year, I believe,
140
was
minimum.
to double last year's shows.
And then you've got to have a plan to get to that goal. So.
Yeah, and I mean, we spend a lot of time looking at calendars and routing things, and obviously you got things like South by Southwest, and you have to route around that. Certain festivals, like even college festivals, like Rites of Spring in Vanderbilt, and Double Decker Festival in Oxford, and just routing all around these kind of things, and just really constantly looking at the calendar and constantly figuring out what would be the most advantageous thing. And I mean, the goal really is to just keep going. Like there's not this like big glitz and glamour thing of like, oh, we want to have a Bentley by 2011 or something. It's just like if we can just make the next show happen, the next show happen, the next show happen, and make another record hopefully, and just keep going and keep growing. That's sort of been the motto of this year, at least.
And I mean, if you're going to talk about in the next 6 months, we're hopeful about South by Southwest. We got an official showcase this year. We're playing 2 other gigs there that are unofficial. We're trying our best to see where that opportunity can take us, trying to get up to New York before that to get some exposure to people that we can attract to the shows in Austin. We have an idea of kind of the order we'd like things to go in, and we were very blessed to get an agent because that was what we wanted first, and we were told by our agent that we have now that he wouldn't work with us because we weren't signed. And he just fell in love with the band, and so he gave in.
The reason why an agent probably usually doesn't take bands on like us or like a band that isn't, signed to a label is because, frankly, we don't have any money.
There's no label money behind us.
And so, it's like you can't buy onto a tour. Like it'd be, if band XYZ, whatever is on such and such an indie label or such and such a major label, they can buy on to say whatever, if it's a band that sounds like the Killers or something, they can buy on to a Killers tour or Kings Leon or, Animal Collective or Fleet Fox or whatever it is, whatever makes it fit. So we kind of wanted that first because we knew that the live show is the strongest thing and that we're still trying to figure out how to make good records. So hopefully that'll come with time, and the agent thing was really important.
We want all the perks of a label. We're just going to be very selective about who finally gets to, who we align ourselves with for that.
Are you trying to make it, but as an independent artist? If they come to you, you're fine, but you're not actively pursuing the deal?
I mean, it's not like we're knocking on anyone's door. If something comes along that's great, sure. I mean, that makes sense, but I mean, there's been things that we've been offered that just, is just not very attractive. It's very like, it's like, yeah, well, okay, you could work with X company if you, sign away.
Yeah.
And the list goes, on and on and on and on. So, it's just one of those things. Once again, like leverage,
And I think
it's nice to have, a great agent.
And something else that John Michael always, brings up, and I believe you learned it in a class here at Loyola, right? The right people on the bus.
Oh yeah. That book, Good to Great. We talk about that a lot.
That's a big thing for us, is that we want to make sure that the people that we work with, are the right people for us. And we had an agent before working with William Morris, and it was not the right person to have on our bus.
So
they
you
got
know what
off.
they're referring to. The book Good to Great is he makes a point. You've got to have the
Sound like
right
such a
people
nerd.
in your organization on your bus. Because if you're not going the same direction, you're not going to get there.
And I mean, that goes for everything. Like, you know, with us, like, even down to the musicians, like,
Yeah.
those are my friends.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's not because, you know, so-and-so is the greatest at this or the greatest at that or whatever. It's just they're our friends. I mean, we're friends. And, like, you know, to try to do it with people that you're not that fond of is damn near impossible.
Yeah,
because
yeah.
these people are, like, my best friends in the
Yeah,
world, and even we're still at each other's throats.
If you're going to be on the bus with somebody or in the car or in the van,
it's insane.
Well, tell me this. What's the...
Anyone ever taken a road trip with
the
Eric
bad guys?
Rogers? It's kind of hilarious. I'm just kidding. It's a joke. I love Eric.
What's the biggest mistake that you made that you wish that you've known, if you'd known something, you would have done differently?
Not done the 52 songs in 52 weeks thing.
That didn't work out for you?
No, I mean, it did. It was just like, there was this sort of, I don't know. I guess I had some sort of delusion that it was, like, special, you know? I mean, it was great.
But it got your attention, did it not?
Well, yeah. I mean, I guess.
I
don't know.
disagree. I think it's a great storyline. I also think that, you know, if you have
You
the
would.
time, I mean, come on, it obviously made you a better songwriter. I mean, writing a song
Right.
a week and writing a song, recording it and releasing it and letting people critique it and putting everything out there every week. I mean, that
Okay,
was,
maybe not that. But I think the thing of just, like,
What
I don't
about your
know,
website?
Oh God, the website thing.
I think
that's
that might
huge.
be it.
That was
That's
totally
it.
it.
That's
That's
the
it,
one
the
that was
website.
Do
really-
not. They mentioned WordPress. Take that class. Just take it. Whatever the tutorial is, just take it. Because we hired a company out of Baton Rouge to do the website for that 52 project thing, and I aged like 5 years
And how
talking
much
to those
money did you
people.
lose?
Way too much. Yeah. Yeah. I sold some guitars to do it,
Huh.
which sucks because like they're sweet people. They're great, but I mean, let's be real. Like web developers are just they're so hard to have a conversation with. They have no idea what you want. You know what I mean? It's like they want to make it as amazing and as like web development awesome as it is. It's like a chef. Like if you've ever been to John Besh's restaurant, August, it's like, oh, every dish looks amazing and they use all these great things, but it's like the food tastes like crap. You know what I mean? And that's like how it is with a website. Like, you know what I mean? Like if I can't go on it and I go and do, sorry to throw John Besh under the
I was gonna
bus,
say.
but whatever, I'm just being real. I mean, right? The thing with a website is if you can't, if I couldn't man it, I couldn't go through it.
We couldn't access
We
it.
couldn't
We couldn't
access
get like our emails off of it. If it went down for a few days, they just weren't available on the phone, weren't available via email. Just
I
weren't
mean,
available.
I screamed.
So WordPress has been
God.
like an absolute god. I mean, WordPress provides everything we need at the moment. We are in talks with people at Topspin to hopefully have a website up and running by the time the new album comes out. And they've already have a lot of songs that are recorded for that album, and they're not done yet. I mean, are written, not recorded.
Yeah, really.
You know, so that's kind of the next step. Also, will be getting a great website that can promote the album properly and
It's
our
just-
merchandise and things like that.
And not to mention the Topspin thing, they're an amazing company. And when we talked to Ian, he was like, well, what do you have your website on now? And we were like, oh, it's based on WordPress. And he was like, great. That's what we usually like to take and then build from there, as opposed to like, well, you know, so that was nice. So learn the WordPress thing and don't hire, please don't hire a web company, please.
Well, I guess
Oh God, it's horrible. It really was.
there's good ones and bad ones, that's for sure.
Yeah, but they just can't communicate. I'm sorry.
You can build your own website in WordPress fairly simply, right? If you know a little bit of
Yeah,
skills.
absolutely.
Right? So you may as well. Tell me how many different, I don't want to get too personal with it, but are you making money and how many revenue streams have you created for yourself?
Well, I mean, there's the publishing side of it.
Are you making money with that?
It's starting. I mean, it's starting to.
We have a lot of attention this year with
That's-
people that are approaching us. I mean, constantly. So
About buying your songs? About buying your
placement,
publishing?
about
Placement and
Placement.
you know, a publishing deal was at some point thrown at us. I don't know. I mean, so there's that. There's obviously touring. There's selling things online. You know, music and merch and things of that nature. I mean, obviously merch at the gigs. You know.
What
so
merch do you sell at the gigs?
Just T-shirts. I mean, It's so funny. Sun Hotel has koozies, and she's been telling me, she was like,
I think-
from day one, she was like, you need a koozie. And I was like, what? Who the hell is going to want a koozie? But you guys proved me wrong.
Everybody wants one.
Yeah, I guess so.
especially in this city.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean,
Well
and
done,
the merchandise was actually really cool because we found, I had a friend who manages some bands in California, and we found a 19-year-old kid in California that was making images in his bedroom, basically at home in his parents' house, and we sent him the album and said, you know, we kind of want it to be like these two things, and we want one to kind of have LSU colors and one to kind of be black and gold, just to kind of feed on that, and it worked out really well. I mean, the logos were great, and now his prices are insanely high, so I'm glad that we got to work with him early. So
Yeah, because he's really good, and now he's killing it.
I mean, and there's a lot of, our friend Andrew did the album artwork for the album, and he did a wonderful job, and he's got a great graphic company going, and if you can get your friends, if you have artistic friends, to do your logos and your T-shirts and your album artwork, that's
And I mean, there's so many
great
different ways to. I mean, there's so many different ways to create revenue streams. It's like you gotta. It's like totally specific to the band, and like with the 52 thing, we did like the donation kind of thing, because it felt kind of silly to be like, oh, we'll spend 99 cents every week. It seems just kind of silly. But I mean, like, what was that? What was that like hip hop group out of LA? They sold like USB sticks that were in the shape of Uzis. I thought that was awesome. I don't know. Yeah. That was so rad. I thought that was so cool. I don't know, but it just depends upon what you do. It's like if you're a techno cat or like electro kind of DJ or something, maybe you like, make like sweat rags or something, because everyone's gonna sweat like on the dance floor. I don't know, right? I mean, I think that would be kind of cool. I mean, does that make sense? Right?
So why don't you talk to me a minute about the idea of, you came to class one time and you were talking about the idea of anchor dates, and you told the story about working at Elon College.
Oh, yeah.
That I thought that was very enlightening, because Elon, North Carolina is not exactly a hot spot for bands on the tour circuit.
Right, well...
But for you...
But yeah, I mean, the coolest part about... So like with touring, what we learned with the East Coast tour is okay, you gotta hit like New York and Brooklyn and all those things, right? But then we were like scrambling to find a show, and Aaron found this thing in Elon, North Carolina, which was like, we were like, Elon? The only reason why I knew about Elon, when I was like 6, I went to like this baseball camp, and there was like a guy from Elon College that was like one of the counselors. So I know that's sorry to digress, but so we went there and we played and we sold so much merch. It was so weird. It was like these people had never seen music before. Right, and it was crazy. It was awesome. So like, if you do the major markets, do like a couple things, like a couple small towns. Like I remember back in the day, I was in this other band, and one of our biggest, we would do these Colorado tours, like in ski towns and stuff, and we would make like $7,000 in Crested Butte, Colorado, to play for an hour, and then sell, hundreds of dollars in merch. I mean, Crested Butte, Colorado. Yeah, right? So it's one of those things. Don't ever think like, oh, well, we shouldn't go play, Valparaiso, Georgia, because you never know.
The Elon show actually came from a friend of mine who used to live here as in a band in D.C., and that is just a friend of his. So, I mean, I just kind of calling all cars, anyone I knew that was on the East Coast that was involved in music in any way, shape, or form, help us fill these slots. And so I talked to that guy who managed the band that y'all opened for.
Yeah, this band Red Collar, who are great. If you like sort of, what was that band? If you like sort of that, like the DC kind of punk thing, like the modern sort of thing, they're really great. You should check them out. Red Collar, they're friends of ours. Sorry.
So it was just a friend of a friend who did us, a stranger, a favor. So that was how we came to get on that one. But he swore up and down it was going to be a great show, and it turned out he was telling the truth. So.
How did you come into being in the management world? How did you learn that?
John Michael asked me to manage him, and he came on my show, or he gave me a CD, And in the previous band he was in, he was the guitar player. And so I was like, oh, okay, guitar player goes solo or whatever. And I didn't listen to it right away. And
Because she mean.
And then I put it in my car, and I got halfway through the first song, which I think was Every Night of the Year, and called him right up, and I said, oh, I'd love to play this on my show. This is perfect. And after a couple plays and a couple interviews, I had him come on and do an acoustic performance. And then we went out for a drink after, and he said, will you manage me? And I said, I have no idea what that means. And then I was like, well, why don't we go? We were both going to be in Austin for South by Southwest just a couple weeks later, and I said, why don't we hang out in Austin? And you can meet all the people that I meet in the time I've worked in the music industry, and we can just kind of hang out and see if this feels right. And that was actually, I think, the first time Eric started pushing that this needs to be a band and not a solo project.
Well, yeah, I mean, we knew it needed to be a band, because we watched that, like, Tom Petty documentary, you know? But this one's being really meek. She's been in the music industry since she was, like, this tall.
14.
Like 14?
But never management. Never management. I interned at Immortal Records, and I was, licking envelopes and passing out flyers, and then.
But I mean, your first job was like you were the assistant to like the manager of the Deftones or something like that.
No, my first job opportunity came by way of a random dinner party, and there was a guy there, Steve Moyer, who sat down and talked to me for a half hour, and said, you seem like you really love music and you kind of know what you're talking about. I'm going to send you a CD to critique. And he sent me the Deftones, that album with Bored on it. I'm really making myself sound old. And I wrote him a review of it, and then he had me interview at Interscope, and I worked under Stephen Levy when he was the head of A&R there. And it was awesome because no one thinks a 15-year-old knows what's going on, and so I got to stay and sit through all the meetings and just be quiet in the corner and learned a lot that way.
So what advice would you have to anybody who might want that experience of managing an artist? Is it something they can do to prepare themselves?
Well, I went to a bunch of management seminars when that South by when we were talking about doing this, and one of the things that I learned is that someone said was like management's like marriage. You're stuck with this person or this band, and you've got to go through the ups and the downs, and you want to make sure that you can live with that person every day or that group every day. And I'm really lucky that it went from being one person that I was already friends with to now 6 guys that. And like John Michael said, it's like family. So I think that's number one priority is you have to like each other. You have to believe in it. You can't sell something that you don't believe in. So don't ever manage something because other people say it's good, because if you're not passionate about it, then the people you're talking to will get that. Work really hard. The whole thing, sign up for Grammy U. I had to pay $100. $25 is a steal. It's a good thing you're still in college. Networking is everything. So never miss an opportunity to meet new people and put yourself out there. And management is really just about relationships and hard work.
And she's great. Like, the one thing that Erin has really kind of taught me about the management thing, though God help me, I'll never do it. She's amazing at team building, and as far as the networking's one thing. You can go into a room and have cocktails with a bunch of people in the music industry, and that's cute and all, and that's fun, and that's usually what happens is people just get drunk together, and then it's oh yeah, we'll do business someday, and then nothing ever happens. But what's great about what Erin does is she can network, but also hold people's feet to the fire, and people that are good people, like Jay Williams, our new agent, who's great, and we love him to death. He, he's like, I'm really into the band, whatever, all these things, and once again, she was like, I think this person could be a great person that could be part of the team building, all these kind of things, and so she took networking and converted that into sort of putting her arms around people in order to, make it a bigger monster, Does that make any sense? So, and I'm really bad at that. I'm really bad at talking to people and things of that nature. So she's awesome at that. So. Yes. No, I didn't do the music part because I was always scared of making music school, making music, what I studied.
What did you find here that helped you go into the genre? Is there a direct connection?
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the whole thing, there's, Goolsey's music marketing class was really important to me. Something that he taught me that was I mean, in every class, I would stay afterwards and talk to him ad nauseum, you know, about just random things. But the two things that I kind of took from it was like, if you're going to do something, do it way harder and way better than anyone else could possibly think to even do it. And then also, you know, he made this analogy of a ladder. That was like, you know, all you're doing in anything that you do is you're building rungs on a ladder to like climb up, you know? And, you know, then I've sort of made it into like we're trying to build a wheel and then just like push it and let it roll. But that, I mean, George Howard's classes were awesome. I mean, the thing of values is so important to me because, like, you know, we'll have constant conversations. Aaron and I will have constant conversations. Bye. See you soon. Sorry to bore you. We'll have constant conversations of, like, you know, our value system. And, like, we don't want to work with a bunch of big corporate pigs. I mean, the thing with William Morris is it's a huge booking agency. But our agent happens to be a Southern boy who goes fishing and, like, you know, is a sweetheart and loves to come down to New Orleans and propose to his wife here. And he's a sweet guy. You know what I mean?
And he also, you know, with him, it's also he understands the music. Like, we don't want to work with anybody, I mean, from the web designer to the agent, whoever it is, we, you know, to the kid who designed the shirts, if you don't like the music or you don't get it, you're not going to put that, you know, 100% plus that we really want to be behind everything that comes out of this, you know, because that's the whole thing. Everybody has to be going in the same direction and have the same level of enthusiasm, you know, for
Otherwise,
this project.
it's not worth it because you take steps backwards. I mean, there's nothing more frustrating than sort of having someone on your team that's dragging you behind. And I mean, I don't know. I learned that from Professor Howard. He's really great. I mean, I did take a lot from this. And I mean, like, you know, even to like there was that concert tour and venue thing. Like routing a tour was so cool. Like to think about it that way, and like you know, because we had to book our own tour. That was the only way that we could do it. We knew we had to do it. I mean, there's people in this room that are doing it. I mean, talk to Chris Ream, man. He's amazing. Like Caddy Wampus guys are amazing at booking their own stuff and just hustling. I mean, it's great. So, I don't know. I mean, yeah, there's a lot, I guess, is the answer. Sure.
Let me ask you this. I know there's a lot of people in the audience that may have, they're trying to do the same thing. Maddie tries to do the same thing. She wants to go out and be on the stage and be on tour and be an artist. What can she do? What's the first thing that she should do? You ask.
Hi, Maddie. How are you? Maddie's amazing. I love Maddie. She cons me into buying a bunch of records at Domino Sound all the time. I think the biggest thing that we did, the most important thing, I think, was that the boys and I really sat down, and the thing that we talked about a lot was instead of just going up on stage and playing a bunch of songs, we wanted to try to make a show. And it was like the thing of like no dead time in between songs. You know, everything's got to be great. I mean, and a bunch of, you know, spectacle crap, like, you know, taking apart the drum kit and beating it, you know, I mean, like, it's all cute. It's great, you know, like, so it's like it becomes a show. And like we talked a lot about that, especially in the early days of like trying to make something bigger and better and like making it different than everybody else. You know, like anyone can go up there and strum a couple chords and sing some pop songs. And that's all we're doing, you know, that's it. But if you present it in such a way to where, you know, people in the audience want to go like this. I think people just want to, like, you know, stimulus response kind of thing. And so we talked a lot about that and trying to make this big show. There was always that, and I mean, you know, I mean, I don't know. Goolsby actually told me that. He was like, there's nothing more annoying than when you go see a show and the effing guitar player has to tune for 2 minutes in between every song. You know, and he talked about it, he was like the buzz. You know, he was like, people lose the buzz. Like the second, I mean, I'm sure you've all felt it. You go see a show and you're so excited. And you're so excited to see this band because you've been jamming their record for the last, like, hot minute, whatever, however long. And you show up and they play the first song and you're in ecstasy because of it's going on. And then the song ends, and then the guy starts talking about how, you know, such and such president is shit and this, that, and the other, or whatever. And you're like, and then you realize, I'm currently standing in One-Eyed Jack's with a drink in my hand, and I have work tomorrow morning, I have a test, I have class, I have all these things, and all of a sudden your night is ruined. And like, if your act, whatever it is, whether it's hip hop, whether it's an electro thing, I mean, DJs, we studied DJs too. Because like when you're beat matching and like going song to song and song to song to song to song to song, you don't lose the buzz. So that was really important too. I don't know. We talked a lot about that. So does that make any sense? I don't know.
And they have spent a lot of time perfecting that and are working on a whole new one with all the new songs they have. I think the other thing with as far as getting out on the road is just personal relationships. I mean, I work for the Tipitinas Foundation also, and I shared an office with Talent Buyer over there for a year and a half. And I cannot tell you how many times people will call up and say, well, we can bring 400 people in Austin, Texas will come out to our show. And she just goes, it's not Austin, Texas. This is not Austin, Texas. I don't know what your capabilities are here. You've never played in the market. Click. Not trying to be mean. It's just, the venues can't afford to have shows that aren't going to bring in money and have people buying drinks and buying tickets. And so if you can get on a tour with somebody, if you have a friend in Austin, Texas, or a friend, in Elon, or know somebody who knows somebody, and they can vouch for you and say, hey, look, I live in Austin. This is my friend, the band that I love from New Orleans. If you book them at the show, I'll guarantee I'll bring 50 local people, and they'll work their Facebook or their MySpace or their mailing lists or whatever it is. But it's really hard to get into a market for the first time when nobody knows who you are there. So if you have people, and that's why the internet is a beautiful thing that really does help.
The other thing too is like once you get it, we've been slacking on it recently, but it's going to pick back up. Is like whenever we get to a town, we would go because we're all big fans of like vinyl and vintage clothing and all that kind of stuff. So we'd go to like either a vinyl shop or like a vintage clothing store or something like that, and just pull out acoustic guitars and start playing, or call them and say, can we go play? And those people that are in that store are just like you, and chances are they'll see it and they'll be like, oh, I like that. I want to go see your show tonight. And then afterwards, what we used to do as well, but I'm worn myself out, it was like we'd meet, you meet people after a show, right? And then there's the after party. And then you go and you DJ their after party at someone's house till 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning. You wake up the next morning and you do it again. And so those people get like the added value of like, we just met this band in a record shop, like Domino Sound. And then we went and saw them at, I don't know, Blue Nile or One-Eyed Jack's or whatever. And then afterwards we danced till the sun came up. And then those people will remember it more so than, oh, you remember that band? What was their name? It was like, oh, yeah, mine, I don't know. But it's like, oh, yeah, John Michael and Leo and Eric and Corey and Joe and Richard. Those are our friends. We'll go back, we'll go back and see them. So that's important.
Anybody have any questions?
Yeah, please. Oh, come on. Someone's got a question. Come on. You'll have to have questions, right? No? Was this instructive? Was this informative? Anyone? Yeah? No? What's up? The band is called My Name is John Michael.
We probably should have started with that.
Yeah, the reason why is because the 52 songs and 52-week project, I bought the domain name My Name is John Michael because like a couple other things with regards to John Michael were taken by John Michael Montgomery, that fabulous country singer. And so I had to make do. And the ongoing joke is that whenever I introduce, because my full name is John Michael Rochelle. I'm one of those weird kids that have like 3 names, right? And so whenever I introduce myself to someone, I say, hi, I'm John Michael. And they'll say, oh, hi, John. And then I'll say, no, my name is John Michael. Or, so it's my little, this to people, in a way. If that makes any sense. I don't know. Probably not. It's a really bad band name. I don't recommend it. Yeah. I wake up every morning at 8 and I write for 6 hours a day.
He already has probably, 12 songs that you've written since?
Yeah, I mean, and so the thing is like with the 52, you had to go quantity, you know? If Tuesday morning came and there wasn't a song recorded, my head was on the guillotine. And it was quantity, you know what I mean? So there were a lot of shit songs that I wrote during it, and I'll be the first person to tell you that. But now it's like quality is more important and like trying to really refine certain things. But no, I wake up every morning and I write. You know, the business stuff is what we're talking about because we're in a music business forum, you know. But like, yeah, I mean, and that's another thing. Like if you're a musician or whatever, please, 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 please get up every day and just bust your ass because like it's worth it. It really is. Like I just read this book called Talent's Overrated. I don't know if any of you have read it. I thoroughly recommend it. It's basically the whole premise is that talent doesn't exist. It's just a question of whether or not you work at something. And I really think that's true. Like I wasn't a songwriter before that thing. And I was so bold and stupid to say that I was and I could write 52 songs in 52 weeks. I mean, it was really asinine, you know? But like in the end, yeah, I know that I can write songs, you know? So, yeah, every morning.
So when you're on the road, it's a full day because you guys are getting up early, you're going to the stores, you're up late.
We have an amazing tour manager. His name is Woods Drinkwater. He graduated from here. He's from Jackson, Mississippi, and he is a psychopath. He is completely effing nuts.
He just makes sure they get up on time and they eat well and they're where they need to be, or he'll leave them.
If we're not 30 minutes early, we're late. And you have no idea how important that is. We once were late to a show, and it was like the venue like wouldn't talk to us. You know, it was like we were just typical band. But if you're there early, they're like, oh wow, you know, they must be professional or something. And Woods is amazing. He doesn't get nearly the credit he deserves with regards to us. He keeps us in line for sure.
And you all know Woods, he graduated from the program as well.
Yeah, he won a Grammy in 2008 for being the engineer on the Best Zydeco album. Which he did at the Jazz Fest Live thing. So I thoroughly recommend anybody to go do that. You might win a Grammy.
I mean, he's got the Grammy.
He's got like a friggin' Grammy. Like he drinks bourbon out of his Grammy. I'm dead serious. I swear to God, it's gorgeous. It's awesome. Like he's such a hick. I love him. It's great.
Anybody else? Any questions? Yes, sir.
What has William Morris done for you that you previously didn't have as far as touring wise? You said you wanted to double the amount of tours. How are they going to?
The one thing that maybe he'll regret it later, but that he promised us was he'll double however many shows we did last year. So he's got to come up with 140 shows. The good news is that we've already been able to secure a lot of great festivals and shows coming up, like Jazz Fest, South by Southwest, ACL. I'm working on Bonnaroo right now and things of that nature. And so the good news for him, and I think the challenge is he has to help us do all the filler. And I think the reason he also chose to work with the band is because we work really hard. So if he's going to book a show, let's say in Austin, and he doesn't have the time or the resources, because we aren't, they're big cash cow, obviously. We can fill in the other dates. So that's a really good working relationship.
And a great part about working with them as well is like the first week that we started working with them, Jay was on the phone with Aaron and I, and he was like, "Oh, I see you guys are off this weekend, or you got an open date on this Friday, but you're playing Houston that Saturday. Let me put a call into Stubbs and see if you guys can play with the Monsters of Folk." And we were like, "Yeah, whatever, dude. It's like 5 days away. That doesn't happen." And sure enough, we did. You know what I mean? Like that power is just insane, man. Like that's crazy. Like we would literally. Eric Rogers, if he was here, he would tell you it takes 300 phone calls to book one show, and he's right. But to be in the position, because we made those 3,000 million gazillion, I'm sure the number's larger if Eric were here, but because we've made all those phone calls, now someone wants to work with us who can make one and get in the right room on the right night, because as anybody who's gone on the road will tell you, you will play the wrong room on the wrong night with the wrong band at the wrong time. But if you just stick it out, people are, think you're actually doing something. We've fooled a lot of people.
That guy
just kidding.
And his call was the answer.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like, and with regards to like we're
and he
like
can negotiate things up for us too. Like if we're on a tour or if we're on a festival date, he can go in and say, this isn't enough money, and kind of, use that
so
that
we
name
can
and
keep
that
going and keep touring, because it costs money. I mean, we've all got expenses,
Howard, we'll talk about your job. What's the business development? Do you see your job as business development and band doing business, or is this more of a personal thing for you?
I mean, it's both. I'm lucky that it's a personal thing. I'm lucky that they're my friends. But at the end of the day, I don't want to work 3 jobs or 4 jobs like I have in the past with them. Like I want this to work. So yeah, absolutely, it's business and business development, and artist development, and making sure that we keep doing the proper team building and getting the right opportunities and getting the big paying gigs and all of that.
Yeah, I'm just kidding.
Well, I think that for us, like we've said, we're very selective about who we're going to, get into bed with, so to speak, as far as the business is concerned, because we know that you can make a bad decision. An artist can make one bad decision, and it's going to haunt you for the rest of your life. So we're just trying to figure out how to maximize things like upcoming South by Southwest.
Yeah,
is going to
South
be
by's been really the pivot as of recent. Like whenever we're having
kind of our
conversations,
main
it's kind of
focus
our
at the moment.
focus.
Everything. I want everything from there. I mean, I want us to get great press like we were able to get with CMJ. I want them to gain new fans that aren't necessarily music industry people. I want them to get in front of people that can help us, get television and film placement. Hopefully, we can get some sort of label interest and find a label that fits what we're looking for, because we don't want to go with a major.
No.
We're not completely opposed to the idea, but would it have to be a very specific kind of personal relationship? And all the work I've done in majors, it's scary because if you can sign up with one awesome A&R person that you trust and you love, and they're so wonderful, and then they're fired, exactly a week later, and you're left with a bunch of people who don't care. And so that's a big part of the thing, is as long as people are passionate about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're good with CMJ was really good to us and really a great thing. So South by is sort of an extension of that. I mean, like, for example, the East Coast tour that we're about to do, we're going to a lot of cities where there are people that will be at South by, so that we drum up. Erin has this expression called blood in the water that she uses a lot. And she's like, I'm like, why are we even talking to this person? We're not interested in working with them. She's like, blood in the water. Because that person will talk to 5 people, and then before you know it, like at CMJ, you'll have a couple of different agencies at your show sitting there arguing over who would be a better fit. So blood in the water.
So, listen, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. No worries. I hope that was okay.